Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Dede, and I'm here to share with you today the hierarchy of awareness. Now, it may seem a little paradoxical when you're talking about I am, but I think this will bring you great clarity when you've already chosen and you know that you're I am, but you're walking around this 3D reality, and I am is just I aming all over the place, right? You're walking around going, now what, now what, now what? And what I love to do with my clients is build foundation for the I am to filter through for the experience and the expression of I am so that you can choose and then experience and know that in every moment that's what's going on. So I'm going to share this foundation, this hierarchy. It's been quite a bit since we've been here because at any time, anything can happen and change your life just like that. And I had an opportunity, a full-blown group came to me and said, we are ready. We want 6 months with you. We want your undivided attention. So that's kind of where I've been. But so many new things emerged from that experience that I want to share them here with you. So I have opened up, now that there's lots of wonderful free time, I have opened up some options for coaching. Not that you ever need it, but if you do, after you've watched this video or you've interacted with some of the other videos, if you want to get some one-on-one pure awareness time with me, then you know what to do. Check out those options in the description box below. Okay, so I'm really going to blow your mind here today. So I'm going to explain what I mean by the hierarchy of awareness. I'm going to give you an analogy because I'm still the goddess of analogies, but I'm also going to share with you my own personal experience and how I implement this because I know I am, but I am expressing through the character of Dede. Some of you know me as Dede, some of you know me as Denise. Either one is perfectly fine. And in being that, in allowing my I am to express through me, I have to know what I've chosen. And because we choose so many wonderful different things, and we are just moving around this 3D reality at all times, sometimes we go so deep into a character that we forget that we are the I am that is animating and fueling the character. And this hierarchy of awareness, do you need it? Absolutely not. If you I'll tell you what it did for me. I understood conceptually the I am awareness, and I was manifesting or bringing things into experienced awareness my whole entire life. So are you. But I know when those moments come and we have those moments of cognitive dissonance, and I call the hybrid moment because you have the creator, you have the character, and then you have that hybrid moment because we don't want to be in creator mode because we want to experience the 3D as the character, but we want to make sure that we're in the character of choice, not one that was assigned to us. So kind of that's where I guided the 6 month group, and some new things came out that I've never discussed here before. And there are going to be some other things that we've discussed before, but I'm going to put a different spin because we're always expanding and evolving our awareness. So this may be a little bit longer of a video, but I also wanted to share that I will be activating full-blown the membership part of this YouTube channel. And in doing so, I'm going to be doing a video here, and then I'm going to be giving either a real life success story or a real life experience, myself and my clients. Some of the more private things will be in the membership channel, and those that I can offer here on the regular YouTube channel, I will do. So at any time, if you have questions or comments or experiences that you want to share, feel free to do that as we go along in this video. So now buckle up because, and you might want to grab a pen and paper as we start to move forward here, because this is one of those videos that I know you're going to have to watch more than once. Because when you build foundation, right, it doesn't matter what you do. Even if you're going to build a house, you want a house to have a strong foundation. And I think about the three little pigs. And there's a video on the channel about the three little pigs and how building foundation, you want that brick house, right? You want that brick house, baby. So that when you have that unshakable foundation, you'll be able to see. And the more you expand your awareness, the more the subtleties come in, which causes you to expand more in awareness. So we always want those subtleties. So I'm going to give you all of that. So buckle up, Buttercup, because here we go, because you live in a world of concepts and you don't think. Not even that you don't think for yourself, but each character has a script, which we would call thoughts. Now, I want to just give you a little bit of an analogy right now as the I am, right? Now, Dede is a concept. Denise is a concept. This YouTube channel is a concept. We live in a world of concepts. Okay. And I go deeper into that in some of the other videos here. But what I really want to give you in this analogy is I think of the I am, like if you've ever watched in real life or on a TV show or movie, when there's a press conference at the White House and there's the press secretary is up at the podium and all of the attendees, all of the reporters are in the gallery and they all want their questions asked. So whenever I have an assumption or I have an active story going, I am the I am. I'm at the podium, and all of the other versions of me are sitting in the audience, all the different versions of me. And you're going to see what I mean by that in a little bit. And they're asking questions because they want their question answered. What really they want to come in and they want to run the body. So as the I am doesn't need a story. It is a story. So if you quietly take a moment, that's the I am, right? Dogs barking, birds are chirping, full of excitement. And then we take the I am, we take this now moment, that's all there is. We put words and story over top of it, that I am the story. I don't need a story. So if I choose a story, it must expand my awareness. It must add on to me. And even though you can't add on to infinity, you can make your awareness bigger and bigger and bigger. But also, I've learned to really pay attention to what hierarchy, where is my input in any given now moment coming into me, and how much energy is expended. So, as I said, the I am is up at the podium, and all of the different versions of me want to come and inhabit and make this body move because each one has a certain reality that it offers. So, this is the way that I look at things. How much does my mind have to offer to me before I either say yes or no to something? So we're going to talk about like communication. So we're going to use the analogy eventually of someone, say, owing you money, or maybe you owe someone money. You can take it from both sides of the coin. And then I'm going to give you my real life experience of how this made me realize what was going on and how I can instantly revise in the now moment. And it was really powerful once I got this because, yes, I chose a certain outcome, but everything's part of the unfolding. Once I choose, unless I choose the opposite of it, I'm in the unfolding of it. But how much time and space is needed depends on how aware I am. The more I stay hyper aware in the now moment, but still enjoy being the character, the quicker things come in. Communication, if you're going to send a text, it doesn't take a lot of energy for you to do so. It doesn't take a lot of time or energy. Boom, it's done. Whether it's a text or a DM, same thing. So that's one level of awareness. Now, if you were to communicate through an email, it may take you a little bit longer to send the same information that you would send in that text. So now you're needing more awareness, more focus, more time, more space. So that is a little bit more important. So you still have the character who sends the text, you have the character who sends an email. The next level of hierarchy would be if I were to leave a voice message. So if I left a voice message, whether it was in a DM or a text, it takes a little bit more time to do that. Maybe you could say email and voice message might be quite equal, or you could flip it back and forth. It doesn't really matter. But the whole idea is with this hierarchy, you realize the more that you are needed to engage, the more focus and awareness is given in the now moments. You could say, okay, the next one is phone. I can make a phone call. Now, if I make the phone call with the intention of talking to the person, but I don't get the person, then I leave a message, it's not the same thing. It's a little bit below getting the person on the line. So if I'm making a phone call and I leave a message, the next level up in the hierarchy would be I actually got the person, the voice on the phone, which is a lot more energy needed than if I sent a text, right? So there's the version of me who sends a text, there's a version of me who sends an email, there's a version of me who makes a phone call and leaves a message, there's a version of me that makes a phone call and gets the person. And then you could say Zoom, because the more of the senses that I'm engaging, the more interaction that I'm getting from the other person, the more focused and awareness, the more embodying time that I'm aware of that I'm using for the wish fulfilled, the done deal, the outcome. And all of them can produce my done deal. But sometimes we need to do multiple. Sometimes it's one and done. But it all depends how anchored and embodied I am to the version. If I believe all I have to do is send a text and I get my outcome, then that's what I'm going to do. But if I do that and I don't get the outcome, then I have all these other options. Or I might go straight to a phone call, or the ultimate is in person, right? It takes a whole lot of energy to communicate, to get in front of someone, to get a direct answer. And even then, when the person's there, are they directly in front of you? Are they off to the side? And this goes back to my investigator days, because it's very important if I got you in eye-to-eye contact and I'm in total I am mode. And if you really want to understand what that means, there's a video on my channel where I helped my daughter get a car, and we went to one of those you can't negotiate or haggle the price. Well, nothing's set in stone, everything's open for negotiation. And yes, I would want to go in and just like text message, hey, we're getting the car, this is what we're paying, and we'll be there. But I'm ready to go full blown face to face. And if I'm going to show up and I know what I've put there in my assumption, I'm not leaving there without what I came for. And I'm always looking to do it in the most easy flowing way. But if I have to go full blown, I am that I am, then you know, right? So let's use this as an example for our someone owes you money. If someone owes me 500 bucks and I truly, now here's the thing I always do. If I'm going to lend someone money, I always lend it like it's not coming back, because then it does. Or we can say as the I am, we go into the person, and we're always before, but you want to do this, you always want to know your jump off. When you're about to engage, which version of you were you? And that's going to be really important. You're going to see that in my personal example that I'm going to share with you. Because if you're lending someone money and you don't think they're going to pay you back, that's foundational energy. And then we'd have to revise later on. But if you know that you're lending this money and you know that this person is going to pay you back quickly, you could say quickly, or you really don't care, those kind of things. And let's say that you lent this person 500 bucks. It's been a while, they haven't paid you back, but you're seeing evidence in your 3D that they have more than enough money because they're going on vacations and they're buying clothes or whatever it is that they're doing, right? And we've all been in those kind of situations where you've done something, somebody's promised something, you know that they're capable of fulfilling what they promised to you, but they're out doing this other stuff. And maybe they just forgot. Who knows? It's all a wordy, 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 wordy story, because it all comes down to who am I being? Which version am I? So instead of getting caught in that middle, that's why it's really super powerful to become so aware at the inception of which version you are, because then you have a pinpoint. That is your reset moment. You don't have to go beyond, further back. And you now know this is what I chose. So I expect this to play out when something is showing up that doesn't match what you chose. So let's say you chose that this person is going to pay you back and they're going to pay you back quickly, but they haven't, and you start to see evidence. So you can send a text. And if you're really that version of you that feels that deep within them, the text will be enough. The more that you interact, and maybe you want to come in a little bit more than just a text, maybe you want to leave that voice message, you want them to hear your voice. And all I would say is, hey, I just wanted to check in. You popped in my mind. I know we had that agreement. I'm not going to say anything about the things that I've seen them doing or whatever. I'm going to speak as the version that gave them the money because I knew that they would give back, not the version of me that's in the middle that sees them buying things and so forth, right? Okay. So it takes a whole lot of energy for someone to actually show up, knock on your door, especially if they don't live near you, to ask you for that money. But it also lets you know how important something is to the other version of that person based on what their actions are, because the text is the inspired action. The email is the inspired action, right? So you're always asking what actions to take But it's not even so much as the action, it's as I'm sending the text and as I'm sending the email or voicemail or showing up at someone's door, which version am I? And if I show up as that version and I knock on your door and say, hey, stopping by in the neighborhood, you got my money. I know you do, right? And I would set that up in my consciousness ahead of time if I was going to do all of that. And sometimes it's just enough that if I send that text or the email or the voice message, that the mind brings them in front of me. And we'll talk about being the last one to the party and being the first one to the party, because both of them are a wonderful point of awareness and they both work wonderfully. So let me give you my example of what happened. And this happened a couple years back. And it was August. It was my birthday month. I just had my birthday earlier this month and I celebrate all month long. And I have 5 kids. And I know with all of our schedules to get all 5 of them in once, it's like, the cosmic alignment in the sky, the special alignments, because everybody's just so wonderfully independent and busy. And I love that. And for me, it never has to be on the day, but I'm a Leo and I love to celebrate and I love parties. And I love parties for other people. I love throwing them, but I also love them in my honor and especially with my kids, my family. So this actually started a couple weeks earlier where my oldest was in town. She doesn't live near me. She just lives in a whole other state. So I love when she comes and we visit together and we went out to lunch. And now, mind you, let's go back to the hierarchy. It wasn't a text, it wasn't an email, it wasn't a phone call, it wasn't Zoom. We actually get the energy and we were in front of each other face to face at a table enjoying lunch together, and we're just spilling the tea of all the wonderful things that are going on. And she tells me about an important person in her life, and I'll change the name, and his name is Bob, but it isn't, but it is for this story. And Bob is either it was an internship or a fellowship or something really fancy because they're artists. And he was going away for 6 months to a different country, and she was just so excited for him, kind of, sad that he was going to be away for 6 months, but she was excited for him nonetheless because she knows what a wonderful opportunity it was. So we're sitting and she's giving me all the details. And I said, where's he going? Now, in that face to face, in person conversation, she said Indonesia. And I'm like, oh, lucky Bob. Like, it's on my hit list. I've been there in my imagination, but wow. And I asked questions like, will he be at the beach? How will he'd be doing things at the ocean, at the water, on the water, like all these questions that you would ask. And I'm thinking, wow, how awesome is that for him? Wonderful people, beautiful location, beautiful weather. Like, Bob won the lottery, that if you're going to do an internship or a fellowship, you're going there. Lucky him, right? And of course, as we're having this conversation, and I'm like, even though I never met him in person, I'm like, I know he's going to have an amazing time. I know he's going to meet the most amazing people and come back with the best stories. And she's like, I'll be checking in with him along the way and all of that stuff. So I'm like, oh, good. Keep me updated. I can't wait to hear. So we finish our lunch. My heart was full for her, for Bob, for myself. And she says to me, oh, and I will be the point person to organize your birthday get together. What is it you want to do? And I said, you guys know I love kayaking. We did that before for my birthday. We have a creek nearby where we can go kayaking and rent all the equipment. I said, I'd like to do that again. And she's like, okay, well, I'll throw it out to the rest of the group and we'll get some dates and I'll get it all set up. And I'm like, okay, remember, it doesn't have to be on the day because I think my birthday that year was during the week. I said, so, we're never close to it, but we're going to do it. And so I was real excited and I, went about. And when I left there, my heart was so full. I do this thing where like I kind of put a pin in it. Like this is one of those moments where if I need a revision point because my heart is so full with my daughter, that would be the point that I could use, especially if maybe something along the line further down the line there was some kind of miscommunication or disagreement or something that needed to be revised. So I'm fully present. And that's something that I learned how to do as a personal trainer, that when you're in front of me and you've hired me and I'm working with you, there's nothing else more important. You got my undivided attention. So that's what I do when I'm at lunch with you, right? When I'm in a one-on-one session, there's nothing else more important in that moment than you and our conversation and what we're doing together. So I was very sure and very certain of all that was said and experienced and felt in that moment, and I put a pin in it. I went and sat in the car, and this is just something that I've trained myself to do, that this is one of those points for me. And it's funny because that was a couple weeks before my birthday. So as we're getting closer to my birthday, I'm working and editing a video one day on my bed. A very, very distinct memory of this. And my daughter calls. Now, this is not in person. She's still in the area, or maybe she's back in the area. Um, but it's not in person. So right away, not that like my feelers go up like dun dun dun, because it could be a very normal conversation. But since my last time with her in person was so amazing, I expect all future engagements, whether they're in person or not, to be just as amazing. And so she calls me up and she's like, okay, I talked to the rest of the kids and here's, some dates that we like. But if we're going to do it on that day, she's like, I'm going to come and go to the event, come back saying happy birthday, but then I have to run because I have all these other things I have to do before I leave. And now for me, like I said earlier, it doesn't matter if it's the day or not, but this isn't just a regular visit. This is birthday. And there's something where when we have special days, no one else should be important. Nothing else should be important. That's why, I'm open to it not being on the day, but when we do it, I don't want it rushed. I want the full thing. This is birthdays once a year where you get to be the superstar of the day, and we make a big deal with birthdays. And I go out of my way, and it's my love language. I show you how I want to be treated by how I treat you, not because I want it back, but because that's my expression of I am. I love to celebrate. I love parties. And so that kind of gave me a little cognitive dissonance. Now we're on the phone. Now, the last time I was with her, it was full blown heart, fun, and experience. And something in me shifted the conversation, but I wasn't full blown aware yet. And then she start talking about Bob. And I'm like, oh, how's he doing? And how is it? Because it's, a couple of weeks went by. How's Indonesia? How's he loving the people? How's the weather? How's the water? All this stuff. And then there was this pause. And that when there's a pause, especially as an interrogator, power of the pause, you now have my attention. My feelers went up. And she's like, Mom. I'm like, what? She's like, why would you think he's there? Why would it? What? You told me he was there. Like, I knew he existed. I didn't know there was a trip until you told me, and then you told me the place that he was going to. So that's why I'm asking you that, because why would I put Bob in Indonesia just randomly? It wouldn't make any sense. So she's like, well, I'm like, he is doing an internship or fellowship or whatever it was. And she goes, yeah. She goes, but not in Indonesia. Where'd you get that idea? What? And she goes, and I'm like, well, where is he? If he's 6 months, right? She goes, yeah. She's like, Lithuania. I'm like, excuse me? No, not that there's anything wrong with Lithuania. I'm sure it's a wonderful, beautiful place in and of its own right. But Lithuania and Indonesia are not two countries, name-wise or atmosphere or what they offer or culture or tradition. You don't get those mixed up. And now I'm like, oh, I see what's going on here. Boom, and this is where the hierarchy of awareness, I now realize that I'm not speaking to the same version of my daughter that was there at the lunch. Now, this may sound crazy to you if you are new to I am, and you could say the manifestation world, whatever you want to call this, mindset. But now my mind is offering a version of my daughter because it's just a disembodied voice on the phone. She's not in front of me. So it's not as much energy. It's not a text, but it's not as much energy as it would be to get her in person. So now it has lesser importance, but I'm now more aware. And I'm like, well, I would have never said Indonesia if it was Lithuania. I asked you about the beach. I asked you about the weather, the people, all the stuff. And she goes, no. And she goes, you didn't even ask me about that, about Lithuania. I'm like, because we didn't talk about Lithuania. Now, I'm not here to argue because that version of her is absolutely right. That reality, and it's an invitation. Do I want to now engage? Because It's not about Lithuania. It's not about Indonesia. And she even went on because more stories, wordy words show up, more story shows up. And she goes, and you're not the only one that's done this. There's about 5 or 6 other people that thought I said something totally, and none of you, like you're the first Indonesia, but and even somebody thought Pennsylvania, and that's not even a country, that's another state. I'm like, with my, huh? So now there's a whole bunch of confusion being thrown at me, but I'm still aware. I'm not being shaken because I know what's going on here. I'm no longer talking to that version of my daughter that was physically present. This is not that I'm in this new reality, but I'm being offered this new reality. And this is a daughter that has to eat and run this. So the more cognitive dissonance, the more story, and I always pay attention to when people start adding a lot of extra story. Okay, so now I'm hyper aware. I'm like, oh no, I know what's going on here. See, when I put the pin in that experience with my daughter, where I left with my heart filled, right? It was now it could have been a phone conversation, it could have been a Zoom call, and my heart would have been just as filled. And what I'm feeling in this moment does not match that. So why, if I had that experience with her then, why would I start accepting confusion? Why would I accept a offering of less than? Because we all know how important birthdays and gatherings and family gatherings, and we really look forward to that. So this version on the phone is not only offering confusion that I'm technically the last one to the party, and being the last one to the party, I have no problem being corrected. I have no problem a different story coming in as long as it benefits me and serves me. And even though there's not a whole lot, whether the guys in Indonesia or in Lithuania, it's so it really has nothing to do with me. But what this really has to do with, if I accept the offering of my daughter that when she goes and talks to everyone else and we're going to go kayaking, but she can't spend the day or a longer amount of time in the day because other people are more important. Well, this is my world, this is my dream, and I just got knocked off the pedestal. And especially being a Leo, and it's my birthday, and it's my birthday month, and we don't need to do it on the day, right? I'm open to those concessions, but what I will not do is allow some abridged version that I'm just sort of like second place or an afterthought. And that's what was happening there. But I was aware of it because we're always bringing our interpretations to the story. So it had nothing to do with Bob. It had nothing to do with Lithuania. It had nothing to do with Indonesia. It was smoke and mirrors, so that I would be so confused about that a lesser offering, because not the same amount of energy was being offered, that I would say, okay, well, I'll take any time I can get with you because I know you're so busy. And we all are. But when we take time because family's first. Like this is an ingrained assumption that this is going over. And if I'm going to be the last one to the party, if then there's been many times where I've come into something and I thought it was one thing and it was another, and it added on to me, it expanded my awareness, it expanded my joy. It didn't ask me to compromise. It didn't ask me to make myself smaller for something else or put someone else more of a priority, because, well, this is my dream. This is my world, and I'm allowing you to play in it. And that's why having the hierarchy, because if we were in person, and I activated that version of her because that's what I felt last time. So I would be doing that ahead of time. Remember, I was sitting editing a video and the phone rang and I saw it was my daughter. So what I did at that point was I went no further. And I'm like, Lithuania, Indonesia, wherever he is, I know he's having an amazing time. I know he's killing it. He's meeting the most, did the same thing I did there. But I said to her, I said, you know what? Let me get back to you on the birthday event. Because if I'm going to be the last one to the party and she's the one scheduling it, and now it's under the guise of she has a short amount of time, that's how everybody else is going to show up. So I said, I'll get back to you. I said, you know what? Why don't you collect dates and times from everyone? So it made it seem like I'm still engaging, I'm still interacting, I'm still following the script. But she doesn't know, that version of her on the phone doesn't know how aware I've just become. This is where your power is in the now moment. So what I did was I let it shake off, because even though that happened, it was more exciting that I became aware of it, that I saw what was happening, that I know what my last interaction was, and this felt nothing like it. And of course, when we're talking about my birthday, that's an exciting thing, just like if we were talking about her birthday or one of the other kids' birthdays. So what I did was I waited about a day. And instead of waiting for her to reach out to me, I reached out to her. But before I did it, I activated within me the last interaction we had together at that lunch in person, how my heart was filled and how I'm excited to see the kids and so forth. And when I called her, I'm assuming that's the version of my daughter that I'm talking to. So I said to her, I just wanted to, she said hello. I said, hey, I said, I want to get the details together for the gathering for my birthday, kayaking. And she said, I was just about to call you. You've been on my mind, and I've been so busy that I hadn't had an opportunity to reach out. What are you thinking? And do you see what happened there? Like, I didn't have to say to her, well, we talked and we had this whole conversation and all of that stuff because I got the version that I wanted. And we made no mention of Bob or Lithuania or Indonesia because it really wasn't part of it. It was the smoke and mirrors over top of it. Hmm. And I will say this, we set up a date the beginning of August. And this is where, when I know that I am, when I use my hierarchy, my foundation to work things through, that not only do I get what I ask for, but I get what I ask for plus more, because here's the bonus. Now, this is the stuff that I'm going to start be putting in the membership channel. Here's the actual bonus to this. So I have a wonderful friend and lives close by, and we had gone kayaking together, same place, um, probably about 6 or 8 weeks earlier when the season first opened. And we talked about that we would do one more later in the season. And it just so happened, after I set up all of the details with my daughter, that I basically said to her, this is how I see the day going. And I had gone in my imagination and I saw us all meeting there and coming back to the house and spending time. And I would say roughly maybe, because we were going early in the morning, roughly about 2, 3 o'clock. Like, it did its natural progression. You know how it's like, okay, well, everything's done. It felt complete. It felt satisfied and complete. And they can go about their lives now. They can go do what they need to do. And because that was how I envisioned it, when out of the blue, my friend reached out to me, and she had made plans to go kayaking that same day with another friend at the same exact time. And she's like, because I had met her friend before, we had done some Tough Mudder races together. And so here I'm there anyway for my birthday. And we had talked about before that we were going to get together and go kayaking again. And it was like this added bonus, because once you know who you are, once you have set the tone for everything, everything will be added onto you. That is still an open loop within your consciousness that you have chosen. And we chose that together. So, my friends, I know this has probably been a little bit longer of a video, and I will be creating like a little worksheet, if you will. And I haven't decided yet if I'm going to just put it in the membership group or I'm going to use it as one of my freebies. So you can kind of tell me what you would prefer in the comments below, where I'm really going to break down the hierarchy. And you can do this with anything. Like, you take it from the least amount of energy for the interaction to the greatest amount of energy for the interaction. And the most important thing is that you have a jump off, right? When you do the inspired action, you know which version you were and you know what outcome you were expecting. And then you allow time and space for the unfolding, everyone as you pushed out to come and interact with you. When you have your jump off and you know which version you were and you know what you chose, that's why I help people make clear, concise choices in the now moment. And then if you did it in person or you did it on the phone or where you did it, but when you're done, you anchored it in. That is your point of focus. So now when you move around the 3D and you've chosen all these other things and you're doing all these other anchorings, and now it may not be right away, and it may not even be on the topic that it just like whether Bob went to Indonesia or Lithuania really didn't matter. The real topic was my birthday celebration. And I'm always paying attention to which version of the other person I'm interacting with. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm that version, but it's an offer to that reality. And I turned down the reality where my daughter was only going to, like, almost like a drive-by birthday party where she'd be like there and then gone, when this is something that I really in my heart look forward to. And not only do I look forward to it, but I give that same thing to others when it is their birthdays. So I know what I put out there. I expect nothing less back. That's not why I do it, but if I'm giving and my reality is a mirror and I have not chosen to make myself smaller in my own mind, in my own reality, I expect to receive everything plus more than what it is that I asked for. So I thank you so much for staying here at the very end. I am going to link up those videos. The one with my daughter is probably one of the more popular videos on the channel of how I'm ready to be icky sweet as I go about. But if I have to put my foot down in the now moment because I know what I chose and I expect my reality to bring it to me, especially in person, if I have to be the roaring thunder, the roaring lion, then I will. But it's not my get to, because if you know lions, we can be very, very lazy and we prefer purring than roaring. But when I have to roar, I will roar. And that's why the now moment is so powerful, because the more you expand your awareness in I am, you no longer fall suit to those things coming in. But let's just, one little extra caveat. Let's just say I didn't catch it then, right? Let's say the conversation went, and even a few more conversations, and we scheduled, and she was still going to come and go over. At any point, once I realized what would be going on, it just so happened that I was so aware, I realized it in the now moment, because cognitive dissonance, right? And there's usually some kind of glitch or cognitive dissonance before something else is going to be offered, or your mind is saying, hey, 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 pay attention. This is happening, but you need to become more aware. That's all it ever is. You're not being tested. You're just being brought to bigger awareness. And if you don't go to the bigger awareness, then you'll get what was being offered to you. And then after the fact, you wonder, how did that happen? That's all that's ever happening. So at any time, if I didn't catch it, and sometimes I don't, then, but it doesn't take very long for me to catch on. So I'm very rarely now am I revising stuff after the fact, because I'm either catching it in the moment or very shortly thereafter. And that's what I want for you, because I want to see you win, win, big win all the time. So thank you guys. I know this is a little bit longer than anticipated. And I said to you, my intention was that you would stay here till the end, that you would totally get what I'm talking about. And if you're interested in that hierarchy as a freebie, or, and hey, you definitely want to join the membership channel, because not only will I be offering, say, part 2, so I don't have to make these videos so long, but we are going to be doing live Q&As over there. And there will be another program, 6-month program coming up. So like I said, you didn't miss the one that I just did. That one just dropped in my lap and said, hey, we want you to do this. Can you do this for us? Can you personalize it for us? That's exactly what happened. And that's why I have been on a little bit of a hiatus for a while. All right. I look forward to hearing from you. Get on my calendar. Let's have a conversation. Give yourself the experience of what it's like that you are the only thing, someone's focus and attention for however much time that we decide to be together, so that you can see. And I promise that when you walk away from just that one conversation, you will see how powerful you are, and you will have action steps to take to remind you in that now moment. All right, guys, until I see you again, happy manifesting, happy I aming, happy creating, and enjoy.